Hey, y'all.
Giggity.
Good evening, everybody. And thank you so much for tuning in to Worship in the Word with the Mizells. And I'm over the past few months, I know we changed it up a little bit. You were used to us being at the studio where we actually had a psalmist with us that led us into worship. Then I came in and we kind of talked about a scripture and the guest psalmist talked with us. But we kind of switched it up a little bit when the COVID cases rose. We decided we would stay at home a little bit. And so we kind of like it right now like this. I don't think that we knew we would, but we do. So
it keeps me home on Wednesdays.
Look at that.
I get to be home on Wednesdays.
Look at that. So we decided to just keep on talking at home and bringing you into our conversations. And so we want you to share, tag, bring somebody into this experience. It is Worship in the Word with the Mizells. And y'all know, we just keep y'all for a moment. It's hump day. And we just keep you for a short amount of time just to give you a little something to think about and give you the opportunity to ask questions. You can ask questions tonight. We have some special guests. They're my family. I love them. That's his family. I said we knew so many of the same people and were in relationship with so many of the same people when we got together.
Which was why it was a shock for everyone.
I guess. I mean, whatever. But yeah, so some people are uncle to him, but they're brother to me. They're auntie to him, but they're sister to me. And we said we would just let it be like that. Just keep it like it is. We don't have to change anything. We don't need to make this awkward. We just gonna keep it like it is. So, but again, good evening. Welcome. Tag somebody to join in with us for this candid conversation about marriage. The month of April, we are talking about marriage every Wednesday at 9 p.m. As part of Worship in the Word. Marriage is worship. Oh, wow. It is. Yeah. Marriage is really worship. It really is something that you're giving over to God. It is a daily walk of giving honor to God through how you treat your spouse. I probably didn't even think about it like that. That just literally bam, came right on down. But that's some good stuff right there. Take that. You can use it, but you tell them you got that from me. Tell them you got that from me. Anything before we bring our guests, or you can introduce them, whatever you want to do.
Our guest, I've been knowing them. Wow, it's got to be 15 years for me, which is about almost the amount of time I've been in Detroit. So I've been knowing
You're
them.
not from here?
No, not at all. So yeah, about the amount of time. This shirt is really need some more light. Listen, we don't have to get some because this
look black.
Black and this is blue. Anyways,
this is how we act, y'all. I told y'all this before. We just our masks be everywhere.
So yeah, I met them about like 15 years ago. Via Pastor David Johnson. We went over to their church for an engagement, and they kind of like just took me in. I don't know quite why, but I guess they saw something.
Easy guy to love.
And so they have always been like very close. Bishop and I know I owe him a lunch right now, but we go out to lunch. This is just my guy. So Bishop James Williams and listen, hold on. How can I forget how I met? This is probably how I became so cool with them, is because Auntie Kelly and we used to be at the Word Network on Friday nights where she was the director. And that's how we actually even got closer, because we were just always around. And she, I think she introduced me to Uncle Bishop on a personal level at some point when we met at the Word, and they were just family. So they've always been the same genuine people. So I bring none other to you than the Bishop James A. Williams II, and prophetess, evangelist, first lady, and pastor Kelli Williams.
Oh God, I love it.
I can tell already this is gonna be a night right here.
Hey, y'all.
How y'all doing?
We are great. How y'all doing?
Good. Doing real well. Craig, 15 years is a long time, but I met your wife when she was about 15 years old. So
actually like 12. I was 12, 13. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. They had a community choir, her and Tolan Morgan and Latanya. And they asked me to come and MC a program. And the funny thing is, I really didn't want to do it because I had never heard of these young people before. and they were so young, Craig, you know how it is. But they were also so persistent, and I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and do it
very well. Yeah.
And when I tell you, like, the whole evening I was just sitting there with my mouth open and stuff. They were amazing. And I've been waiting to say this all day. Dana, you can get me for it later. But I always knew that when Dana grew up, she was going to be like an administrator and just the kind of person that put things together. Because at 12 years old, she was telling people what to do.
It's true. It's true.
When I found out their ages, I was literally in shock. I'm like, well, these kids running around here like they grown. But it's been that long, and it's been a wonderful fellowship. And I'll agree with Dana, Craig. You're easy to love, even though you owe me 2 now.
You better get on it, sir. Don't do 3.
You're right.
You better get on it, sir.
And I done stepped up my game. We not going to Ferndale Grill. We going to Joe Louis or Avenue.
Joe Louis, yeah.
Yeah, okay. As long as
tell them, Bishop. So we are here to talk about marriage. And immediately when I text my sister, she said, let me find out which date. I gave her the 6th or the 13th, and she said she got back immediately. I think it was within 10 minutes, and she said, we doing the 6th, and let's do this. And so I am so honored that you both consented to be here for this conversation that is so needful. I feel like in the body of Christ, there is not enough talk about good marriages. What we hear is the latest scandal.
Absolutely.
The pastor who's stepping down, or the pastor who has a wife in the church who has a wife and the girlfriend got pregnant, or all of these scandals about it. And there are some good marriages. Marriages is a hard thing. It's a challenging thing because I always say it's 2 people becoming one.
Absolutely.
And there's the friction thereof.
Absolutely.
There's the friction of it. So Craig and I have been married since December 24th of 2020. And it has been great, but it's been some friction because you have all these components.
Absolutely.
You have 8 children between the 2 of us. You have ex-spouses.
Right.
And and then 2 people who are strong.
Yeah. And that's kind of who we were about our age, maybe a little bit younger when we got together. So when we came together, we came with, at the time, 4 children, but now we have 6. We fostered 4. So we had, one point, we had 10 children,
Wow.
We both have exes.
And at one point we had 9 of them in the house
at the same time, right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Lord.
And we work together, which is a dynamic that you all have as well. Working together in ministry. Y'all work together all the time. I don't know how y'all do.
We really do.
We'll be celebrating 27 years this year.
Awesome.
27 years this year. And so we both were married before, so we have spouses that, came into play in this as well. So I understand the friction and the dynamic and all of that comes along with it. And I think, it's important because, like you said, it's not talked about enough, and people need to know that, you can work things out, and that we have a marriage ministry that we started. And I was talking to Dana about it a little bit earlier today and saying that we really haven't implemented it, like we should. And it's called Leaving Is Not an Option. Now, when you say that nowadays, people you get up in arms. Leaving is not an option. I ain't staying with nobody. You know, if he do this or she do that, I'm not staying. But that's not what we mean when we say that. Leaving is not an option. When James and I got together,
that's not what you mean.
When James and I got together, we realized that we was two individuals, you know, and that came with a lot of stuff. And so we said, if it was anything that we couldn't work out, we knew that God could do it. So we said we could not leave each other based on us. We had to let God be in control of our relationship, and that's what has allowed us to be together 27 years later. Not perfect. Have bad issues, you know, friction, falling outs, falling ins, all the dynamics that come with relationship. I mean, all the dynamics that come in relationship. You know, we've experienced it, and when we got to the place where we couldn't handle it ourselves, we trusted God and we got help and we saw direction. It was one point we were in counseling, and our marriage counselor said, "Woo, y'all's a miracle." She said, "Because I thought y'all wasn't gonna make it."
But listen, on that, we'll get back to that. On that, leaving is not an option. So many times nowadays, I think people they come into the relationship with the back door open.
Right.
You know, they've already established this set of rules, and well, if this happened, I'm out of here. And if this happened, no. First of all, if you think any of that's going to happen, you probably shouldn't get in the relationship.
Exactly.
But perhaps because we had both had broken marriages, we came in knowing that stuff happens.
Right.
And so when stuff happens, what is going to be your attitude? Right. Are you going to try to work through things? When you're in arguments, do you try to win it? Or do you try to come to an understanding? You know, all of those kinds of dynamics. So yeah, leaving is not an option. And if leaving is an option in your mind, then one of you is probably going to wind up leaving, because there will be cause. You know, no, I don't know of a perfect marriage.
Yeah. And what I do know too is there's no cookie cutter. No. Like what may work for you may not work for us based upon our personalities and the dynamics in our marriage. And so I think that when we also look at people in their marriage, you shouldn't try to be those individuals. You should be able to pick things out. Like I can look at you two, and pick things out that I know we can take to, you know, that we can live by, or that we can be encouraged by. And so I think that sometimes we have this unrealistic expectation of our marriage based upon somebody else's. And that's just not realistic. That you have to find your own lane and what works for your marriage. Like for us, what works for us, even going into the deal was, and some people like, girl, are you serious? Listen, this was the deal. I'm not cooking every day because I did that already. I'm serious. I'm not doing that. Y'all clothes gonna be clean. I'm making sure I wash everybody's clothes, and I have days that I have a schedule. I try to stick to my schedule. I'm gonna make sure your house is clean, but I'm just, that cooking thing is just not me. He loves to cook, so it works.
Right.
Yeah.
So for somebody else who, you know, because they done said, girl, are you serious? Somebody else's marriage, the expectation may be that you cooking every day, or that you're cooking 3 to 4 times a day. That's not his expectation, and I'm so grateful that is not.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
We have I have friends who have never cooked.
You said,
listen. Speaking of cooking, I made this chili last night.
Did you really?
It was wonderful.
Yes, sir.
It's always better the second day. It was better.
Absolutely.
But that little kick, now that's the biggest thing. I think that's probably our biggest problem. She don't like spicy, and I like I have put a little 2 habaneros in it. And
Dana, I don't like spicy either. I can't do spicy.
It was just 2 little habaneros. And it was
but
I can't do spicy.
So I've learned. Yeah, trust me, Craig. You will learn. I can't tell you the last time I put a habanero in anything. In the summertime, when I barbecue outside, I will probably make 2 sauces.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I'm glad you just said that, because that's the thing right there. I think people sometimes get in these marriages and they say, well, this is how I do things, and this is, and compromise is a part of it. Like, and it's like a cuss word to say compromise. Like, it's not.
No, it's a whole.
No, go ahead.
No, I said that's a whole part. If you don't have compromise, then you're gonna fail.
Yeah,
if you really have to fail, because we two individuals, we set in our ways. You know, and so coming together, you have to know that there's something. I'll share one thing. So I was and sort of still am a neat freak. I was really a neat freak. Sort of. Because association brings about assimilation too. Okay.
Shay.
So I was a neat freak. So when we got together, you know, we had a little house. And I didn't mind cooking every day then, because I still had little babies at home. So I would cook dinner every day. I didn't mind cooking dinner. But my thing is, if you got to walk past the kitchen to go to the next room, put your plate in the sink. But you can't pick your plate up. He would leave the table with his plate on the table every single solitary dinner. Okay? So I had to ask myself, is this something that I'm going to fall out with him? And I swear Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, who is this important to, you or him? I said, me. He said, then pick up the plate and put it in the sink.
Wow.
And so I started picking up the plate. So you know what ended up happening is that he noticed that I kept picking up the plate. And it got to a point where he was like, oh, babe, I'm sorry. I should have got that. And then he started making an effort to pick up his plate.
That's good. That's really good.
I like it.
Basically, Craig, she just said she trained me. That's what happened.
Yes.
But that's what marriage is. That's a huge part of what marriage is. So, you know, when I saw the title for the night, Marriage Matters, it kind of made me chuckle, because when we do premarital counseling, that's what I call the lessons that I give to people. So like when we do premarital counseling, you know, it's 4 or 5 lessons. They're already printed. Here's what we're going to study. Yeah. You keep this because 4 or 5 months from now, you're going to probably need to refer to it. But it's called Marriage Matters. The first one is Marriage Matters. And then there's one on Communication Matters. Differences matter. Money matters, right? And I can never remember the 5th one, but those are all very important. Differences matter. And too many people come into the marriage relationship disingenuously, meaning that they're not being honest. They don't like or love the person for who they are. They love the potential of what they think they can make the person become.
Yikes.
And so there's this expectation that once we get married, all those little things that you know that I don't like, they're all going to change. Well, no, they're probably not.
Nope.
And so we tell people all the time, look here, I want you to get a sheet of paper and divide it in half. On the left side, I want you to write down everything that gets on your last nerve, everything you don't like about this person, everything they do that ingratiates you. Now, if they come back to me the next week and there's nothing on that side of the paper, then I tell them you're either lying or you don't know them.
Yeah.
It's too early for you to get married. So first of all, I need that list. On the other side, I need you to write out the stuff that just absolutely makes your heart go flutter and all of that stuff. Right. Now, here is the deal. If the stuff on the right side does not so much outweigh the things on the left side, that if nothing on the left ever changes, you will still be happy because of the stuff on the right. If you can't say that, then y'all just need to be friends.
Or wait a little longer.
Or wait a little
longer.
Because you can't come into the relationship believing that you're going to change that person. And Dana, you and I know that when a person does change for you, eventually they begin to realize that they've become someone that they're not.
Absolutely.
And they resent you for changing them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, I mean, I'll never tell. There may be one or two little things that Kelly does that kind of, you know, but hey, the other stuff, it makes up for it.
And one of the things that I do has never changed in 27 years. I cut him off when he talking. That he can't stand that.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say it.
I can't. Sometimes I just
guilty.
and I cut him off. And I've done that for 27 years.
It's how I think it's just how we're wired. Like it's like I just want to get this out. He does it too.
So let me tell you
to each other.
Can I tell you from a young man's perspective? What I see it is that they're usually like we're taking time to say what we have to say. We're very methodical. They're hearing something and they might call it and be like, that ain't right. But they're gonna tell you right then and there instead of taking notes and waiting to the end.
That's
my perspective.
Wonderful observation.
Yeah, I'll take that.
And then so sometimes when she cuts me off, I'm just done. I'm like, I can't finish the sentence, so I'm just stop talking. But then she walks away and feels like she knows what I meant, and will later say, "But you said no, I didn't. You said
that's not my fault."
That is hilarious.
Bring that up. I wasn't gonna say that.
That is hilarious, but
this is some of the things you got to tell. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's the truth. But if it doesn't change, and he'll tell me he said he used to go to his mother and complain about.
You got to have a sounding board somewhere.
He used to go to his mother, and then she told him
she got tired of it, child.
Yeah, she told him. She said that if she changes, isn't that the stuff that you said that you fell in love with?
Now I'll tell you when that happened. Pastor Kelly has the biggest heart.
She does,
and she will just go. Now I love people, but
That's how much alike
I was
we
about
are.
to say this.
Will just go so far out for people, even when she knows. And Pastor Dana, I saw you put up a comment on somebody's post, and it reminded me of this. She'll go out on a limb to do something for people that she knows don't even like her, right? Just no, I just feel like I should do this. Yeah. So I would get mad in the beginning because I'm like, don't take all that. That don't make no sense. So I went over to my mother's house one day and I'm like, look, when I get, this is gonna end. I'm gonna cut this out. She ain't not another time. She ain't doing it one more time. That's just, I'm not gonna let them keep running over her like that. And my mama just, sitting there, just kind of letting me talk. A lot like your mama, Dana.
Yeah, she does.
And when I got finished, she said, "Be careful." I said, "What you mean, be careful?" She said, "Be careful how you change her."
Oh.
She said, because if she stops taking things off of other people, she might stop taking things off of you.
Oh. That's good stuff.
Yeah, well, it wasn't good at the time.
I know, but that's good stuff. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And she was right. She said that the things that you're talking about changing now are the very things that you said right there in that chair before y'all got married and said, "Mom, let me tell you about what she did." So, yeah.
That's good stuff. We have a question in the chat. What do you do when you no longer have the energy to give what your husband or wife needs, but you love each other?
What do you do when you no longer have the energy to give what your husband or wife needs?
You ride it out.
I think you got to make sure that if the communication lines stay open, you can allow each other to have a season or have a moment you know, because a lot of times we're not on the same page at the same time, you know, and so I think we've even had that in that season in our life where we felt like we couldn't give the other one what they needed from us at that time. If I'm answering this right, but we had to give each other grace. We had to allow that grace, you know, and just like we expect, you know, friendships or family, you know, to allow the grace, you're going to have to allow the grace even for your mate, you know, to be them, to go through what they're going through. You know, when I was going through the change, you know, when I was in my early 40s, he had to allow me to go through that process and still cover me, you know. And then I had to realize that when he went through his change, that I had to do the same thing. So I had to remind myself I had to do the same thing. You know,
that is funny, but yeah, I hear you. It's definitely about the extending that grace. And sometimes things just do need to ride out. And absolutely. I think that once you've been married, you have a different tolerance. Absolutely. Either your tolerance is real high about certain things, or it's real low. Absolutely. And so I know we've experienced that.
So let me ask y'all this: with being in a marriage as long as y'all have been, because 27 years is a long time. You know, like people like this, that's a whole grown person with a job. Right.
What a job. I love it. In the college degree.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, like, you know, to have all of that time, you know, y'all have grown through 2 decades and go in a third right now. Yeah. So that's just like a person growing up. So talk about how, because what I've noticed over the years, since I've become an older, younger gentleman, is that women grow at a different rate than men. Like they are much more, they're always more mature than you in some areas. Not everyone. But the ones who are the real ones, they are very mature in areas, faster than men. And I think sometimes men, we are used to regimens and this is how things go. And women will say, okay, no, I'm changing today. I don't want to do that anymore. And sometimes I know I get stuck and like, well, listen, hey, how you was doing that with you didn't, why are we changing the game? So talk to us about the changing of the game during a marriage, that someone starts thinking differently. They start having a different mindset about certain things.
You're really trying to get your uncle in trouble. You're really gonna put me out there like that. Listen here. Who was it? I can't think of who it was that recorded it first. Quincy Jones. Everything must change. Nothing changes. Listen, man. I think Pastor Kelly has gone through maybe 3 of those. If you go back on the timeline and look at her pictures, usually when her hair changes, there's something else going on.
Oh, that's so not right.
That's all right. You threw me under the bus early. It's okay. So we get married, and I had been preaching for about 3 years, and 2 years after that is when I started pastoring. And you know, my background, you know, I Baptist born, Baptist bred. When I die, I'll be a Baptist dead, you know. And so she my wife, you know, and so she's supposed to look, you know, the part. Now, of course, that's changed over the years, but we talk about when we, you know, first got to going, right? So because she had her 2 boys, she was very thrifty. And she would, what was that store?
We don't have to go there.
Oh no, we going there.
One Price Clothing.
Yeah.
It's called One Price Clothing.
One Price. Everything was $7.99. And so,
listen,
single mama.
So I was like, okay, I know what, I'll give her money to spend on shopping. And so I would give her money, and instead of going to the stores that I suggested, she still went
that more because she got
Girl
more.
had a
took
full
that extra
wardrobe.
So now she come home with a whole new wardrobe of these $7 clothes. So, you know, I've always loved fashion anyway. So I started going, excuse me, to the boutiques. And I started, first time she had a Sean John, I bought it, you know. I started buying the knits and the suits and the hats and the, you know, and because I've always loved fashion, you know, I didn't have her looking crazy. She was looking swayed. And she did that. And she did that. She did that for a while. And then all of a sudden, she just wakes up one Sunday morning and decides that she don't want to look like that no more. Well, Craig, at the point in time where she decides that there's still stuff down in the basement that we moved from the old house here not because she can't throw it away, because he spent too much money. I keep saying, at some point in time, she gonna change back. And she gonna wear it. But I mean, because Craig, I would do the whole. I'm from the hatches. You know what I'm saying? She just changed. She didn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I just had to say, okay. You know, and it was weird for me because I had gotten into a point where buying clothes for her had kind of become part of my love language.
But it was his, not mine. So when we talk about that change, at that point is when we had hit a really rocky point in our marriage, and we thought it was the end, and we started going to. He actually set up for us to go to a therapist, and we went to a real. That's not the right word. We went to a therapist, a licensed or certified licensed therapist. We didn't just pick up. We didn't go to our pastor or a minister. We went to a therapist
because everything isn't spiritual, people.
Right.
That's it.
I mean, we couldn't. To be perfectly honest, we could not back then. We could not find a couple that we respected enough to go that would be able to give us wise counsel. So back at that time, and so we went to we needed help. We wanted to save our marriage, and so. We went to the therapist, and what I found out is because I allowed him to do, he was buying everything, that I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. So she had given me a challenge, and she said my assignment before I came back was I was supposed to go shopping and buy my own clothes because he was buying them all. And so when I was going through this phase, I didn't want to wear it. I was wearing sweatshirts and sweatpants, and the only time I put on any clothes and makeup was on Sunday. So I was wearing sweatpants, sweatshirts. And she said, "You go out looking like that?" I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Okay, I want you to go to the store." And she said, "And what's your style?" I said, "I don't have a style." She said, "You need to find a style." And so she said, "Go to the store." And she said, "And he can't go with you." So I went to the store. Like she said, I went to the mall and I called him bawling. "I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to buy." I had lost my identity. I let him do so much that I didn't know what I looked like. I didn't know what it was going to take to make me feel happy. And sometimes we get lost in our mates where we don't know what's going to make us happy. And that can end up causing dissension in your marriage, or you and your spouse can end up identifying and work through it. Thank God that he, with the help of the therapist, wanted to help me work through that, because that could have been a part to help end our relationship. Yeah. Because at this point I was resenting the fact that I didn't know who I was, and I needed to find me. And we can get lost, when you get yourself so submitted and submerged into your mate. There's a difference. I don't think I was just submitted. I was submerged into his life. That I did not even have my own life,
So let me speak to that before. Let me speak to that.
Let me tell y'all something real quick before she say that. Listen, I listen, I might not agree with everything she put on, but for me, that's just me because I don't care. Because y'all see what I got on. I went out with gray sweatpants and a.
He'll go out looking raggedocious.
Shorts. I went out with shorts. I had this on. Just listen, I'm comfortable because I'm in my studio working. So I don't bother her about her clothes.
Dana, he's not from Detroit.
So previously, I lost my identity, and it was the nail color. It was what color you getting in your hair, what style, what color, how you getting it cut. I want it cut, but this how I want it cut. It was I completely lost who I was completely. Yeah. And when I woke up one day and began to try to get my life back, that's when all hell really broke loose. The spirit, let me tell y'all something. Their situation is a little bit different because it was just his love language. Right. There was manipulation.
Absolutely.
There was a different spirit that was present. And when I started pulling myself from up under that spirit in my mind, in my heart space, listen to my children, how they felt about things that were going on. It was a hard road to travel to get my life back. Yeah. So when I got this man later on down the road, because this some years later, people like it took you almost 10 years to get married again. Yes, absolutely. Honestly, I started just enjoying my life. Yeah. So I was like, we get married. I mean, no, I don't think we get married. No, I'm good. I'm not getting married. No, I don't want to do that. But we're here, and he's never tried to even think about it. I think now, because I'm just so secure in who I am, that it's just like, her security is sexy to me.
Yeah. There you go.
You buying that? Because like he'll be like, oh, you bought that. Then when I put it on, he'd be like, nah, for real, I didn't think I was gonna like that, but you did that. So
I might not necessarily like that, but
whatever. So so you just have to be very careful. Absolutely. Not losing who you are.
Absolutely.
For whatever the reasons may be. Yeah. And then when you have an opportunity to do it again, like he wanted braids. I don't care. Get those braids because that's who you want earrings. Go right ahead.
So I will tell you that can happen both ways. Because I was in the same type of situation, but it wasn't like a control. It was a manipulation of not telling you this. I don't.
The subtle
manipulation.
It's like nothing.
Always a face. It was so that will make you be like, well, you know what? Let me just keep it. What you want me to do? What you want? And you start doing that just to keep the peace. Right. And I think sometimes you cannot sacrifice your personal peace for trying to keep a peace in a marriage and what you want to do and start changing yourself for the sake of peace.
Absolutely.
At some point, maybe peace is just by yourself.
Right. Yeah. And when we got together, so I was divorced 4 years before we got married. And so I was very, very independent. I took care of everything. I handled everything because I refused to put myself in a position where I was from my first marriage. At the end of my first marriage, my ex-husband had filed bankruptcy. Our house had went into foreclosure. I found out he hadn't paid a bill because he was ready for me to go. See, and so I vowed that I would never allow anyone else to do that. So I was really controlling over my finances. He'll tell you the story that everywhere I went, I used to carry my bills
in a tote bag
because I went through a lot. Okay, mentally, and so when James and I finally got married, I was, he told me, he said, you have to allow me to cover you. He said, I'm not trying to take you good with the bill paying. I'm gonna let you go ahead and do that. You do that. He said, because I like to spend money. And so he said, so you do that, and I'm not gonna take that from you. But I don't want to feel like a visitor in my own home. That was his only request. I don't want to feel like a visitor in my own home. So I had to adjust my mindset for that. But to be perfectly honest with you, and I know he a bishop, I'm a pastor, but to be perfectly honest with you, what caused me to lose me was submerging myself in the church.
I could see that. I could see
Trying
that.
to be the perfect first lady, the perfect co-pastor.
Such a
You know,
stress.
looking at everybody else and trying to measure myself up to what everybody else was. It contributed to me losing myself.
Yeah.
And when we were having problems in our marriage, which didn't last for a long time, but seemed like forever to us, I resented that as well, because I remember what I had told her, because I've been in church my whole life. I had run from preaching, didn't accept my call till I was 36, because I loved the Lord, but I didn't like church folk. I knew the unrealistic expectations. Yes, I said it. Y'all can,
it's good.
I knew the unrealistic expectations the Black church puts on its leadership. And, you know, we people are always talking about, you know, church hurt. What about preacher hurt? But anyway, so when we got together, I told her, I said, I'm not looking for a first lady.
You did.
I just need a wife.
That's right. You did say that.
If you don't do anything, you don't have to do anything there that you don't want to do. As long as when I come home, home is cool, then I'll deal with them. Now, because of who she is and how she is,
I lost myself.
She lost herself in the church.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing I did that she wasn't right there doing it with me. And she actually cared more about what the people thought than I did. And that, again, that's not that I don't love the people. I love the people. I love the work. But I've known church people my whole life. And I also know that no matter what the leader does, someone is going to be unhappy. I know that you can never please everybody in anybody's church if you got more than 3 people. So, you know, but for her, she wanted to be what she thought I needed her to be for them.
For the people to
see. And so that was one issue. You can't lose yourself in the relationship. And for those of us who are in ministry, you cannot lose yourself in the church. But the other thing that I want to jump back to real quick, I just want to say this and then we can keep moving on, is that when she started changing, one of the difference was, Dana, and I don't mean to put anybody down.
No, you're fine.
But one of the differences between that situation and ours is the response. When you begin to need to change, that was seen almost as rebellion, and you know, put a lid on that.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I was okay. If that's what you need to do, then I'm gonna back up, because I couldn't really walk through it with her because I didn't know where she was going. She didn't know where she was going, right? And because of how our relationship was, I had to literally back away, because if I didn't, then every decision she made, she was going to be asking me what she should do. And I remember saying to her, I don't know. Dr. Williams said that this is about you making your choices. I can't make them. I'm here, and whatever choices you make, I'm gonna be here, because we came in saying leaving is not an option. And I just prayed through it that whatever she became in the process was going to be even better than what I had in the beginning. And I got my prayer.
She's amazing. I love her. She's amazing.
And that's something else I want to say to people who are out there who are seeing changes in their mate, and you're nervous about it. If you take that thing to God and give them room to grow, 9 times out of 10, when it's all said and done, it's gonna be good for you.
It's gonna make you uncomfortable. I don't know. I think DA just said this. Your daughter said something about what being when you're getting put into an uncomfortable position, when Holy Spirit is moving you to an uncomfortable position. You got to go through it. You got to trust God while you're going through this uncomfortable position. And so it's hard. You know, it was hard for him because he tried hard not to be angry. And I could tell that sometimes it was like he didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And just, and your humanness, you want to just, walk away, kick the devil, do whatever, like I'm through with this. But when your heart is attached,
yeah,
and our hearts were attached, and we kept reminding ourselves, we would go to bed at night. I love you too.
You say it. You say it happy, mad. You say it.
I love you too. And we be in the bed touching each other like this just so we can go to sleep.
That's right. And making sure in the middle of an argument we calling each other by our pet names and things like that. See,
now we learned that through counseling.
Yeah. There's rules for how you fight. You need to fight fair.
Rules of engagement.
And you're not fighting to win.
You're
fighting.
I understand.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you. I think that was Najee.
That's my coworker.
Yes.
Najee.
So I want to listen. We said worship in the word is really like 20-30 minutes. We way over, and it's okay. Really, the people are being blessed, and I really have like two things that I really, really want to hit on, and then I want you guys to pray for marriages. One thing I want to hit on, I have three things. One thing that I want to hit on is that we have gone to therapy in our infancy, and I've said this before, and I say it publicly often because I want people to understand that therapy is not a bad thing. And we have made this out to be all you need is Jesus and prayer. Pray for that man. No, you need a professional person to help navigate you.
That's the word, professional.
You need a professional to help you navigate through it, who is not necessarily in your circle, in your world, because their viewpoint is completely different.
Absolutely.
And so we were just having some little tizzies, and a lot of it was because for me, I overcompensate for what people don't do. And I found myself overcompensating for some things that other people that are supposed to be a part of this process were not doing.
Gotcha.
So I had to, I would be at him all the time about, fussing about what should be, how it should be done, and what, boom, boom, boom. And he said, we need to go talk to somebody. We just need to go talk to somebody. And so we talked to Dr. G, who is amazing she's just so calm and, okay, well, what do you think, Dana? Okay, well, Craig, well, why did you do? Listen, at the end of the day, Dana, you can't do anything about the other person. Absolutely. And how they do and what they don't do. And it's not fair that you put that energy and protrude that on him when he has nothing to do with how that other person is responding or even how you think they should. So I want everybody to know that therapy is an amazing tool that it
was a lifesaver to us.
Yes.
It was a lifesaver to us.
And so even in our infancy stage, it has blessed us just to have that sounding board. To have that person just to help us navigate. So I wanted to put that out there as you guys have talked about therapy.
Yes. And just a real quick aside on that, it is more important right now than ever.
Yeah.
Please understand, these last 2.5 years have inflicted so much trauma on all of us.
Yeah.
At the start of the pandemic, when we first got quarantined, I told Kelly, I said, we need to pray for marriages. I said, because some of these people are going to be up in these houses together, and they're going to
they don't even like each other.
They're going to realize that they don't like each other.
Absolutely.
That they don't know each other.
Absolutely.
This has been a stressful time.
Yeah.
If your marriage feels out of sorts, if you feel out of sorts, it's okay. It's okay.
Yes.
I hadn't been to therapy in 40 years, but I just went to my first session last week. Yeah, because I realized that I ain't never pastored through a pandemic before. There are things that have happened these last couple of years that have sucked the life out of all of us.
Yeah.
And so The same thing happens to your marriage. It's okay.
It's okay.
Find you someone
professional
that is professional, who knows how to get you to ask the right questions, because you've got the answers. You just need the right questions.
Yeah.
Awesomeness. So my other thing was, he and I have built a very strong friendship. And I think that's what keeps us making sure, even the more, that when there is any issue, that we try to dig into it immediately or as quickly as possible, so it doesn't fester.
Right.
And that we try to get to the root of it. So can you guys speak to the importance of a friendship before you get married?
Yeah. And ours was rather quick of a friendship, but we did establish it first, because when we first started talking, I was like you. I was not looking to get married. I wasn't trying to get married. I said, look, it's me and my boys. We good. You want to talk to me? Fine. I ain't having sex. I ain't doing none of that stuff. So, we can talk and we can be friends, and that's it. And he was like, okay. But we end up talking a lot. We talked every day for 3, 4, 5 hours every day. We talked about the ugly stuff. We talked about the things nobody wanted to talk about. We talked about the good things. We talked about our dreams. We talked about our family. We talked. And that's key in establishing a friendship. There's times now, because we've been together so long, that we'll sit in the living room for like 3, 4 hours. Ain't nobody talking. And it ain't nothing uncomfortable. We're friends. We love each other. We friends. We sit here. We watch TV. Sometimes he downstairs, I'm upstairs, and I'll text him, "You all right?" from the other room. It's important, because when you can make sure that you are a friend, then you can understand when the other one is going through, or when they need space. I can feel him. I can come in, like today, came home from work. He was frustrated. And I said to myself, for real, we about to do this marriage thing, this marriage show with Dana and Craig, and you gonna have me frustrated today? So I came in.
And I thought about it, but I couldn't
kissed
help
him on the cheek, and I went upstairs and
said, I'm not doing this.
And let him have his peace, get himself together, because we was gonna come on here today. But you understand each other, and it's so important to be friends. It's so important.
Absolutely.
Because we laugh a lot.
I told her everything that I felt that my haters would tell her when they got the chance. I told her everything. I told her, I said, here's what you're going to hear. Here's what happened. I've been with a whole lot of folk.
Yeah.
But there's not enough hours in the day for me to be with everybody they're gonna tell you I've been with. I mean, I told her everything. Because Dana knows, I was a friendly guy.
He was J.A. the gospel DJ.
Yes, he was. J.A. the gospel DJ. He wasn't Bishop. He wasn't even Reverend Williams.
One of the things that drew me to her was that she didn't care about
none of that.
She was singing with Alan Dwayne Grant
and the CCC,
and she didn't know who I was. And I'm like, how are you singing in a choir in Detroit and you don't know who? What do you mean? I mean, and then didn't care, and really didn't like me for like a whole year. The Lord had to take the blinders off her eyes, but she didn't. And so our friendship is the foundation for everything we do.
Absolutely.
Now, I did tell her, was it 6 weeks in?
No, 3 weeks in.
I did tell her after we started talking every night for 3-4 hours a night. I told her 3 weeks in. I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna marry."
So you're gonna be my wife? I'm like, whatever. You don't even know me.
So
he made sure he got to know me.
That is hilarious.
But now we're friends. So like, a lot of people, he talked about these past 2.5 years, and some people that couldn't stand being together. We enjoyed each other's company. We cooked together. We love to cook. We foodies, so we love to cook. And so Craig, we cook for each other. And we'll come together and we'll be in the kitchen and we'll be working together and putting meals together. Because that's one of the things we love. We love food. So we try
listen, Listen, our kitchen is a little minute right now, so we're working on that. So then we'll be able to cook together. Right now, listen, just let me do this. I got it. Or she gonna say, "Let me just get out the kitchen."
We were in a minute kitchen for a long time.
You know what's funny? I had never thought about it before, but we moved like
in the pandemic.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if we stayed in that house, we might not have.
Listen, you need space in your house. I understand.
You need space.
Just somewhere you can go and have your 5 minutes to yourself for a minute. It's real.
And you gotta allow each other that. So that's the one thing we do as a friend. I know sometimes he need a moment.
Yeah,
I give him his space, and I don't get offended by it.
I promise you. This is the last thing I'm gonna ask you.
Okay.
So speaking of that, allowing space, because some marriages have that you giving that pull, that push and pull between going out with friends and hanging out with your friend, having friends and having your wife or having your husband. Like, how's that for y'all, having friends? And I know, like, y'all have friends as far as, like, I'm talking about your friend. Like, so having friends and going out to, and having with your sister girls or with your bros and having, what I'm saying? Like, how is that? Because my marriage before, there was a problem every time I wanted to go and hang with friends. Well, why are you having fun? What you
see our problem is he don't want to go out with his friends. I'd be like, don't say that with your friends.
Don't say that.
Don't want to go with your friends. When he said he going out with Brock and a couple of other people, I'd be like, woo! I'm turning on my Lifetime channel.
Chill. Listen, I hear you.
You should have stayed to the 30 minutes.
No, seriously, we if we have time that we go with our friends outside of each other, it doesn't bother us. I'm not calling and checking on him. He don't call and check on me no more like he used to in the beginning when we first got together. But now he don't do it.
That is
in the beginning he did.
And that was baggage.
Yeah.
That was baggage.
Absolutely.
One of the things that damaged my previous marriage was a group of friends. For me it was excessive. And by that, they were in a choir and they would rehearse till midnight, and that's when our spots were open.
Rams horn
and everything. Mm-hmm. And 2-3 times a week coming in at 3 o'clock in the morning, that just Yeah. So then I started doing it. When I started doing it, it was a problem. And so, it just graduated, and I took it way too far, but that's what men do. And so, in the beginning, I'm like, no, I'm not going through that again. So, it was. And then, see, she had some friends that didn't like me much. So,
that's true.
But
I that was short-lived because they became no longer my friends after that. Because I'm not gonna sacrifice my relationship for nobody.
Absolutely.
And so, but now, and he used to call me. I'd be gone an hour. Dang, my phone would ring, and I'd be like, for real?
I don't remember.
You know where I'm at?
I don't remember that.
But now I'd be like, he ain't called yet. I think it's time for me to go home.
I mean, and that will definitely make, because I've noticed that with like, she'll be gone for a few hours and I'll be like, okay, I know where she at, but I'll still at some point it's just be like, oh dang, I miss you. At this point, let me just call and see you all right. Make sure it ain't really in a checking up, and she doesn't do the same thing. She like, listen, everybody who know me know I'm at my studio at about most of all of the day. And when I'm not, I'm picking up the kids, going home. So if she's calling and telling me, okay, baby, I just want you home. Come on home. I want you to see you at home. I ain't seen you all day. Boom, boom. So it's such a different.
Yeah.
It's a pressure of go home so you can be loved instead
Absolutely.
of go home so you ain't got to hear it.
Now, yeah, so now he feels comfortable going with his friends when he chooses to do so. Because I'm not following behind, I'm not checking him, I'm not calling him like that. I'm good. I know he's okay. Now, if he's been gone for like 8 hours and I ain't heard nothing, now I'm worried about him. Safety, now who he hanging out with. And I may just call and say, babe, you okay? Well, before Life 360, I would call. Now we got Life 360 on our phone, and all you gotta do if I'm really nervous, I can look and say, oh, that's where he at, and I'm done. I'm not stalking him. I don't stalk him. He don't stalk me. He know where I'm at. If he's worried or questioned, he can look on Life. I don't pause my location. He don't pause his. We got that kind of trust with each other that we don't have to worry about that anymore. And so, we don't give each other calls.
Yeah.
And that's one thing you have to remember. Even if this is your second relationship, even if it's your first relationship, don't get the other person calls. Like when we get upset, you don't get in your car and drive away and be going places. Because now you're giving me calls. And so in the very beginning of our relationship, I can remember we had a fight. We like married 3 months.
I knew this was coming.
And so he left. And so he was gone for a few hours. And so I called our pastor. I was like, James left me.
And our pastor said,
he's not gone anywhere. He said, Kelly, he said, what did he used to do? He likes to drive. And so when he's upset, he likes to drive. He said, be patient, he'll be back. And he did come back, but we had a conversation about it afterwards. And I said, when you leave, you give me cause to worry. And I don't want that. So let's not do that to each other. So we made a pact, if you will, that we don't do that to each other. You can go sit in the car in the garage, in the driveway. Stay out there 2 hours if you want to. Don't drive away.
That's not the same. But
it is not the same.
Like, at least let me go drive around the block. I'll be back.
No, can't go around the block.
But listen,
no pause.
Here's when I knew that this was going to be different. The night that she's talking about, I literally drove around the block
for hours.
No, I parked. My car was parked around the block because the things that what they say, the things I used to do, I don't do no more. I'm like, well, I can't go there. I ain't going there. Ain't no need me going over my mama's house because she gonna put me out and stuff. So I'm just sit here till I cool off. Yeah. And I don't know if anybody watching does this. Sometimes if I'm very, very angry, I literally go to sleep. And so I drove around the block, said a whole bunch of things that she still has never heard me say, and sat there fuming in the car and dozed off. That's exactly what happened.
Good stuff.
But
we don't do it. But we don't do it anymore. We give each other the space. So we got a 2-floor house. So if you mad, he go in one room and I go to the other room, and we wait and we come together. And this last thing, because I know we got to wrap it up. If you allow each other that space, then you got to make sure that you come back and talk about it when you're able to talk. So we allow each other the space, but we don't shove it under the rug so that there's a mountain that you're tripping over. We walk away, and then we come back together when we can talk, so that we can hear each other, and we rectify that situation, and we don't let it fester. We don't let it get like in the beginning. We used to let it fume and all that, but now we don't let it fester, but we give each other the space.
And you keep doing all the things that you would normally do.
Yeah.
So if I left home that morning and said, babe, you don't have to worry about cooking because I'm gonna make my salmon when I get home, then I get mad, and so now I'm not cooking. No, I'm coming home and make that salmon. I'm gonna put my foot in that salmon and
make me have to say, this is so good.
Absolutely. You keep doing all of that. We have this thing, we've gotten older now. And so somebody, the weather changes for them during the course of the night. So we don't touch like we used to. But
them hot flashes.
But the rules back in the day was, we touched.
Yeah.
So when you mad, that literally there have been times it was just like big toe to big toe, but still, no, I'm mad, but we're going to get through this. In the morning, we're going to try this again, and we're not going to be sitting here about to fall out of both sides of a queen size bed. We're not doing that. We're just not doing it. We have to make grown-up decisions.
Lord, yes, we're gonna be grown up in this king size.
Come on,
right,
come on.
Right.
I love it.
Years I've never slept on the couch.
Never.
We don't do that.
Never.
I don't believe in that. Now, honestly, let me tell y'all something. Before this, my last. I got one more question.
Okay.
But this is what happens when you're having a good conversation with people that you just kicking it with. In my previous marriage, we said we would never sleep on the couch. We will always talk it out, no matter what. We wasn't going to bed angry, and we never sleeping on the couch. So when that person slept on the couch, I knew my marriage was over. Because for real, we had made that decision a long time ago. So when that first happened, I said, "Oh, this is it's a matter of time," and that's that. My other question or thing that I want you guys to hit on is working together. I love working with him. I love working with him.
We have challenges now.
Oh, I was about to say,
yes,
we have had many challenges just in this short amount of time because we think different. Mm-hmm. So I think this way, and I think it should be done this way. He thinks another way. I'm the person that prays. So right now I'm speaking of my projects or how we work together with music. But there are other things. But one example is he's a producer. So how he thinks and how his execution is different, or his timeline is different from mine. I'm thinking like this over here. And there are certain conversations that we should have had that we didn't have, and that will be part of the last project. And it caused a lot of ruckus because but
really what's crazy is you can tell the confusion of communication was definitely authored by the enemy, because the project is one of the best that we've done, if not the best we've done to date. And it's like, and there's so much oil, or so much everything happening with it. And so that little small amount of time, but how we recovered from it was really the testimony of the whole situation, because of how we were able to recover the communication with that and be like, okay, well, let's stop this. What do we have to do to make sure we don't even have this issue again? Okay.
Right. So I'm the administrative person. He is the visionary. Big vision. Always have. God has anointed him to have such great vision. My challenge is that he has such a great vision that we don't have enough people that support his vision. So I feel like I have to make up for the people that are not there to support it. So he thinks it and I hear it. I hear it from him. I make it happen. And sometimes I run ahead of him, because I can hear it and I see how he wants it, and I see how I can make it happen, and I can see how I can go, and I run ahead of him and I try to make it happen. And in the beginning, it angered him because he's like, "Who the pastor?" Because it looked like I was taking over. And so it came through the years as it now me making sure I'm mindful of how I do it, and him recognizing I'm just trying to help his vision come to pass. That it's gotten a little better. So now I still, I'm still the one that I live with him. So I got to hear all the ideas, and so I'm the executive pastor. I want to make sure all those things happen. And so that he doesn't get frustrated. I try to minimize his frustration in ministry as much as I can. And I think that's what helps us to be able to work together, because he, even though sometimes it's frustrating to him, he can trust me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he can trust me.
And I said earlier, differences matter. when you work together in a marriage, you got to know each other's strengths, know each other's weaknesses, and respect those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I stay away from the money. I stay away from the money at the house.
Mm-hmm.
I stay away from the money at the church because I spend money.
Mm-hmm.
If especially in ministry, I have put layers in so that I cannot just spend money. Because for me, if I see something and I want it for the church and I think it's going to be a blessing, if the money's there, I'm going to spend it. I'm going to buy it. Well, you can't do it that way. You have to, So I put layers in place. I've come to understand that the things that she likes doing, I don't. I don't. She will stand there and explain something to somebody 3 different times. The way my mind moves, what didn't you get the first time? And see, so then I come across as that mean pastor, and that's not who I am. I'm like, come on, let's do this. You know, I handle pressure really well. Well, I got to realize that most of the people around me don't. So I have to give her stuff in time to give it to them. Because I wait till the last minute because I'm like, all I need you to do is don't take nothing. Yeah, right. Okay.
I'm looking at Latanya's message right there.
How do you decide when it's time to take a break?
Working together. How do you decide when it's time to take a break? That we all still learning that, ain't we?
So
you know what? I admire you and Craig because I have watched you all. Y'all take y'all breaks. Y'all go on vacation.
Oh yeah.
You take the time. And that is so important. I want to be like y'all when I grow up. I really do. Because y'all do take the time and y'all spend that time together. We get so caught up in being the pastors and making sure that everything is going forth, that we neglect ourselves sometimes. We have neglected ourselves sometimes. We trying to work on it. We're trying to be better about that. You know,
now tell the truth.
Yeah.
I'm at a point where I'm like, it's time to go. She is still at that point where she's like, well, we can't go this Sunday because, and I'm like, no, I need to go now. You know? Now, I'll tell you what she will do, Craig. When I start getting snappy,
I send them on a sabbatical.
They'll send me away.
Oh yeah, I send them on a sabbatical. I said, I think you need a break.
Hilarious.
Now for you to get a sabbatical because you getting on my nerves, you getting on Trey's nerves, and the people at the church. You got to go away.
That is funny.
And he'd be like, "You trying to send me away?" I said, "You need a break. Go take a break, and we'll send them away for a weekend."
I think
with us, this is the first time in our lives that it's been like this. Like, I think we just made a conscious decision that whatever's gonna be is gonna be. Like, he's a workaholic. I gotta get this done. I gotta get this project done, this done. They coming in for a session, boom, 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 boom. And early on, we still early on, but early on, I kind of just started put little things in his head, like, but you got to take care of your body, but you got to take care of you, but you need to rest, but you got to rest your mind. And so I think that once he started the groove of, let's go away, or are we going away? He on the phone trying to find somewhere, economical or whatever. Yeah. But he like, oh no, check your calendar. We're doing 2 days away. I don't care. We going down there for a day, So I think that it's important that you take those say lives, because it makes the victory that much more, that much more exciting.
And it don't make sense to be getting flued out all over the country.
Come on.
And don't use them to go somewhere.
I sitting here before the pandemic, we were going like at least once every 3 months or so. Now,
but
I got a plan. We get ready.
I think that was Tanya that asked the question. I think.
Yeah.
Just know this: when you look at couples in ministry that are our age, we were not taught that.
Right.
That's true.
We were taught that we were just supposed to keep working. One of the things that I say to pastors now, to male pastors, is stop cheating on your wife with Jesus's. See, the church is Jesus's.
That's it.
And most pastors are leaving their bride at home and hanging out with Jesus's bride all the time. Stop doing that. But that's not how I was raised. That's not how I was brought up. Those aren't the examples that I saw before me in ministry. So I say to younger people in ministry now, you know, that's something that you don't want to follow.
Right.
Build that time in now. There was a pastor, and I can't think of his name right now, but when he negotiated his contract with his church, his contract said that he had one day off a week.
Joel Ratliff.
Joe Ratliff. 1 day a week, 1 week a month, 1 month a year. That it was in his contract.
Yeah,
that's good.
And the first time I heard that, I'm like, no, pastor's supposed to be taking off all that time. My God, I wish I had realized that.
Yeah.
Because you need it. Yeah. And nobody understands the weight of ministry except people who do it.
That's true.
That was one of the most wise things when I was fortunate to go with Pastor David Johnson and Pastor Tola Morgan to Houston. And we sat down at that man's office. That was one of the most impactful and wise things I had heard as a young man, because you didn't hear that. And honestly, I didn't see it a lot either growing up. Right. The pastor was always working. Pastor died in the pulpit. Pastor, you know, that nobody was making sure the pastor was good. They bringing the pastor ribs and macaroni and cheese every week after the salad in sight. And if it was drenched in ranch. So nobody was caring for the pastor.
It's real.
You know what I'm saying? Nobody's caring for the person who is providing all of this spiritual, you know, guidance for you, all of this word, and bringing this word and shepherding over your soul. And nobody cares about the health of the person. Right. You know what I'm saying? So I always looked at that and was like, okay, well, I guess that's how it is. And and when I heard him say that, I was like, oh wow. Somebody who's of the older generation who's like, no, I'm taking my vacation, I'm taking my break.
Yeah, when Dr. Radcliffe did that was radical. That was radical, but he was way ahead of the game. Way ahead of the game. So y'all build it in now.
Yeah. We just starting to do it now. We just starting to do it now. And like you're right, I work at the airport. So I work for Delta. I got blessed with benefits.
Yeah, absolutely.
I need to use them, you know, and I really believe that God allowed me to stay in the job that I'm at so that I can use those benefits, because it has never caused me to compromise my service to him. So I need to utilize the blessing.
Now, doesn't that sound like a good title for Gate Agent Dana Mizell?
Hey! Look at her face. Well, your wife ain't got no time.
She like, no, you can go be a baggage handler. How about that?
You can come be a gate agent, Craig. Come on, guys.
Right now is not the time for her to start on the gate.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm in
the office now.
Kelly's in the office now. She finally, they have been trying to give her promotions and all that kind of stuff. She said, "Oh no, I'm gonna stay on the gate." Look here, when they open the airports back up, these people are insane. They said, "Don't you want to come?" Yes, I'll come to management.
Come in the office. Come in the office.
You don't want to be on the gate right now.
So we want to say thank y'all.
We love you.
I'm sorry we kept y'all so long.
It's okay. This was so needful, and the people were engaged. They enjoyed it, and we enjoyed this conversation. I'm sure we have some nuggets that we can chop it up about later. When he get off of his next live, God bless him.
That's right. He do have another one.
God bless him. But thank y'all so much for real for joining us. Thank you to every person who viewed. If you could share this or tag somebody to let them know that, hey, marriage is a good thing. It can have its challenges, but it's a good thing when you're with someone that you like and that you want to build with, and that is your friend, it can be one of the greatest assets to your life. And so that's really what we want to exemplify all the month of April. So we have the Radicals with us next week, y'all. Lord have mercy. We have Ray and Nakia Shipman with us next week.
Ray was on here.
Water ready.
No telling what might come up out of their mouths. But we wanted to have different people, different experiences, so that everybody understands. Again, it's not cookie cutter. But you want to close out, and then we can have them pray.
Yeah. So next week we have Apostle Ray Shipman, and I'm sorry, y'all.
We trying to get this sickness, and the sickness trying to come up loose here.
And Prophetess Nakia Shipman, which should be fun. We did a live with them, and it was a lot of fun and very informational. So y'all join us next week at 9. I'm getting ready to go live very soon in the next 10 minutes. We're talking about the quote professional musician. We want to talk about what that means. This is part 2. So we're doing that. And then we have all of our CDs that you can get. On Apple Music. It's Dana D. Berry. That's where you're going to find
Dana Mizell.
Okay. Y'all can follow us on YouTube. If you're on YouTube watching us right now, like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, make sure you follow us. If you're on Instagram, I'm at Craig Mizell CEO, and this is at Dana D. Berry. Bishop, Auntie, let us know what y'all Instagram is. Let the people know where they can find y'all.
That's my Instagram. Instagram is Bishop Jadwell. And on Facebook,
it's just James A. Williams.
Just James A. Williams.
And it's Kelly Renee Williams and Pastor Kelly on Instagram. We do have our marriage page of Living is Not an Option on Instagram. It's JA_KR Williams. I'll have to tag y'all on there. I have to put it in there for our marriage Instagram. So we love y'all. Thank you again for
thank you. Y'all will be back. Y'all will be back.
Come on, we got to do this.
I don't think y'all tell the people your church and where y'all at and where they can.
Spirit and Truth Christian Ministries. We're located at 4330 West Davison. Service begins at 11. Intercessory prayer at 10:50. And you're more than welcome to come.
Yeah, we in person.
We're in person or still virtual. Virtual on Facebook at Spirit in Truth CM. All one word, Spirit in Truth CM on Facebook. But we'd love to have you live with us in the place.
Oh, and our marriage page is JA_Kelly Renee Williams.
Yes.
JA_Kelly Renee Williams.
And Spirit in Truth, what you gonna get? It's a good word, and you're gonna get a good diverse worship, because Auntie Kelly gonna sing, Uncle Bishop, he gonna sing, listen, and he gonna church you, and he gonna worship, and you
come on,
get around it. So you need a good covering. You going over the Spirit and Truth, because they're good integritous people.
They are.
Is that a word? Integritous.
Thank you so much.
I don't know. You can make up a word.
All right.
Come on, you can make it up. Go ahead.
Preachers do it all the time.
So if y'all can close us out in prayer.
Yes, God.
Well, Father God, we just thank you for this time of sharing, oh God. We thank you for reminding us that family is first, oh God, and that you created marriages to represent your relationship with the church, oh God. We just glorify you. We love you. We thank you for the Mizells, oh God. We thank you for this door that you have opened for them to be a blessing to the world, oh God. We see greater things ahead. I just thank you that your hand is in everything that they do, oh God. And we continue to glorify you and give you praise, Father God, for all that they are doing, oh God. We just magnify your name. For all the listeners on today, oh God, let some someone be blessed by what was shared on this tonight. Let a marriage be restored, solidified, strengthened in the name of Jesus. Let someone that's single look to have the tools that they need to have a perfect marriage. We just glorify you again, Lord, and thank you for this day. And we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Love y'all.
Love
we long overdue. So
get your, y'all still ain't came over to the house yet. So
I know, right? Yes, ma'am. I'll text y'all. Love y'all. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.